You know, everybody has a vision in their mind of what this birth experience is going to be like, right?
So I definitely had a good idea and a good vision for what I wanted and a plan for my birth.
And I say, once you go through labor, natural labor one time, there's nothing that you can't do. So we definitely are in a Black maternal crisis right now.
We have really challenging experiences with the medical industrial complex. It's challenging oftentimes, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant, to feel like the way that you're being seen, the care that you're receiving is seeing your whole person and that the whole person's being believed.
Nationally, it's about 3 to 4 times more likely than their white counterparts to die. In some places like New York City, it's 12 times more. Or so even statewide, it's different numbers, but nationally, it's a huge higher risk to be Black and birthing in the U.S.
So my name is Tina Bryma. I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and I am the owner and practicing midwife at Sankofa Birth and Women's Care.
My name is Omishade Bernie Scott. I reside currently on the occupied land of the Occaneechi-Sapota Nation, also known as Durham, North Carolina.
My name is Jocelyn Hubbard. I currently live in South Carolina, but I've lived in a number of states around the United States.
I'm Bianca Faustin, and I'm an assistant professor here at Elon University in the Public Health Studies Department.
Stakira Shepperson. I'm 32 years old.
My name is Lauren Huggins, and I am a nurse, stay-at-home mom, and I am in school to be a nurse midwife.
So the problem is a lot of Black women don't even know that out-of-hospital birth is an option, that it's an affordable option, that they can find providers that look like them. We're hard to find, but we are available.
It really boils down to bodily autonomy and agency, right? Centering that person first, right? Do you want to have your baby in a hospital setting? Do you want to have your baby in a birthing center? Or do you want to have your baby at home?
And so you really utilizing the time prior to pregnancy and during pregnancy to learn about pregnancy and birth and your options, your choices, and really deep diving into those so that we can be empowered.
How do you visualize this birthing experience? What would you like to happen for you and your baby?
Yes, so I had a birth plan for both of my births. I had in mind where I wanted to be, who I wanted there. And so I handpicked my midwife team and my nurse and asked them personally if they would attend my birth when I went into labor.
Is amazing because a doula and a midwife, their sole purpose is to help you to be in touch with your body, to help you be in touch with what you're feeling and why you're feeling this way, to be in touch with the baby that's inside of you and to connect with the best way to deliver this child and bring that child into the world.
When you ask women, what did you gain by having a home birth or by even being in the birth house, being outside the hospital, they were like, I feel respected. I definitely feel listened to. I feel like you get me, you know? The importance of having a provider that understands where you're coming from, that has that lived experience. There's nothing that compares to it. I had excellent birth experiences. However, when I talk to other Black women, their story is very different.
So one of the reasons why we see such a high rate of Black women, women of African descent, dying while they're laboring, dying postpartum, is racism.
So once you go to the hospital, it's a lot more of a structure. Like you have to do certain things, you know, like that their policies. They have a lot of policies in place.
White supremacy, structural racism, right? So there's so much conversation happening right now in our country around critical race theory and people trying to understand, what is this thing? Why would we even have this conversation? And it's a praxis, it's an application that helps you understand historical truths, not historical ideals or historical ideology, historical truths, contemporary truths, and an understanding of systems, structures, and policy.
Their story is very different, especially when you're talking to Black women who work in the birth field. Most of them come from a place of, I had a traumatic birth, or birth was not exactly what I wanted to be. I didn't feel listened to, I didn't feel heard.
So if you think about the medical industry, if you think about medical doctors, they're operating inside of a system, they're operating inside of a structure, and they're operating with policies. And if you think about those three things, sometimes those three things can be wrapped in racism.
I heard a lot of stories from Black mothers about their experiences. And so I had that in my mind when I was deciding, where do I want to birth? And I was like, well, based on all of these stories I've heard and what I know. So I was like, okay, I want to be out of the hospital and I really want a Black provider, a Black midwife.
My first experience, I felt like no one was telling me what was going on. And I just felt like no one told me I was in labor. Nobody told me anything. By the time I kind of realized that, oh, I might be in labor, they're like, oh, you need to come out here. It's time to push. And I was like, what? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. You didn't tell me I was ever in labor, to even process through each step. It was just kind of okay.
In the hospital, the nurses kept trying to encourage my husband to have me get an epidural. And we were very clear. I do not want an epidural. Now, I am pro having the birth experience that you want, but the experience I wanted was completely natural.
Grounded in racism. Implicit bias is grounded in, I'm looking at you and I have opinions about who you are. I don't necessarily know all of your identities. I might not even know about intersectional identities. All I know is I'm looking at a Black person and I don't believe you.
So many times as Black women, our bodies are just objectified and we are not encouraged to own our bodies and our space. And when you go into the hospital, in general for women, whether you're Black or white, I feel like there's a continuation of that narrative that you don't trust your body. Whatever you're feeling, it's not real. Let the doctors and the nurses tell you how you're feeling and how you should respond.
I don't believe you're in pain. I don't believe you're having a hard time. I don't believe that you are experiencing whatever it is you're experiencing. And oftentimes when we're talking about the maternal mortality rate of Black women and women-identified people, that disbelief of that person ends in that person dying. In the United States, most pregnancy-related deaths are considered preventable.
Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die than their white counterparts in childbirth. Because what you'll find is that area codes that were densely populated with Black people have a much higher number than that. People who are lower income, people who come from different socioeconomic brackets, and it's because stress.
Nationally, it's about 3 to 4 times more likely than their white counterparts to die. In some places like New York City, it's 12 times more.
We know that likely the high rate of maternal mortality rates in Black women or women-identified people has to do with implicit bias and the medical system not centering the personhood of the people giving birth to these babies.
Factors that go into why this is occurring, and when you look at the OBGYN industry, it's historically rooted in racism, classism, sexism, oppression. A lot of the early procedures that they learned how to do were on enslaved Black birthing persons without anesthesia. We've had some pretty high-profile people talk about their experience not being what you would imagine it would be with Serena Williams and, Beyonce and, Allison Felix. So, yes, just a reality of Black birth in the U.S.
What do you want? What would you like to happen for you during your birthing experience? What's your vision for your birthing experience?
I think that we don't put enough emphasis on the experience itself and trying to make that a positive experience as opposed to a traumatizing experience or a negative experience for mothers and for families.
Women with planned home and birth center births are less likely to have poor pregnancy outcomes. I completely respect medical professionals. They do amazing things. But when you make someone feel like they shouldn't trust their body and what they are feeling, especially as a Black woman, right? We're constantly told that, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're unwise.
And I've seen many times within the system that we don't end up having that power. And part of it is we don't even know that we can do this. We don't even know that our bodies are designed to birth a baby. We don't trust our bodies. We don't trust the process because it's so unfamiliar to us that we can't even go into it confidently. We feel like we need the answers from someone else. Someone else tell me, am I okay? Someone else tell me, am I healthy? Someone else tell me, how do I do this? And really, the answer is within us already. We know how to do it.
This was one of the most empowering experiences I think I've ever had. And I feel like doing this gave me confidence actually like in other areas of my life, right? Like, okay, Jocelyn, if you can do this, then you can do anything.
So it's like, okay, I want to be out of the hospital and I really want a Black provider, a Black midwife. And so it was really important for me to be able to make that decision, to choose where I wanted to be, choose the provider. And then autonomy really mattered to me in the birthing process. I wanted to have control over where I say I want my body to be. I wanted to be able to say, I want to get up now. I want to do what's comfortable for me.
I had excellent experiences. I had home births with my first 3 children. I had midwives who listened to me, and it was such an empowering experience, and I felt like I got so much out of it and grew so much as a mother and as a person that I wanted to be able to make that open to other women.
Women are less likely to use pain medication or have a cesarean when a doula is present.
Of the doula really being there to support me, help me, put me in correct positions, or positions that would be better for what I was feeling. It's like such a mental thing. So just tell you those mantras to keep you in the right space when you're have that panic look on your face. She did all that for me.
For the care that I got, it was pennies. It was really the fact that I could text my midwife at any time of the day or night, and I could still, I still send them pictures of the kids, and we're still in communication. So that's something that you just can't do with your OB-GYN. You can call there and maybe talk to the nurse that's on staff, but that person doesn't know you. These women knew me. They knew my personality. They knew, okay, when Jocelyn goes into labor, this is how she is gonna respond. You already know, don't be in my space too much. I don't want this little sweet baby voice, oh, sweet honey dumpling, and rubbing my back, don't touch me. But that's something that, because you knew me through the whole pregnancy and experience, when we get to labor, you're not confused. But a doctor that doesn't know me, that's just on call, now I'm tense and we've got this. So to pay $3,500, to pay $5,000 to have the birth experience that I want, for them to be able to make me feel comfortable with my body and to help me to advocate for myself, priceless.
We carry our birth experiences with us for the rest of our lives. We can ask our grandmothers about their births. And a lot of times, most of the time, they can tell us about their births that were 50 years ago. And so really utilizing the time prior to pregnancy and during pregnancy to learn about pregnancy and birth and your options, your choices, and really deep diving into those so that we can be empowered. And I would say that that word empowerment is really what I wish every family would feel when they had their baby, is empowered, like they just climbed Mount Everest. I did it. Oh my gosh, that was amazing.